Welcome to the ASR 9000 Tech Channel. In today's episode we are going to explore how you can use smart licensing in your network without the need of having any IP connectivity between your network and the internet. This will help to demystify security concerns you might have with smart licensing. When I talk to customers about smart licensing, the general feedback is usually very positive because smart licensing makes customers' lives much easier compared to the old days with pack-based licenses. However, some customers will come up with objections because they do not like the idea to connect their network to Cisco.com and therefore to the internet for licensing purposes. I do fully understand these security concerns. Frankly, if I were running a network myself, I would probably argue the same way. So for those customers with very high security needs who are concerned about any connectivity between their network and the internet, I have good news here. You can run smart licensing without having any IP connectivity between your network and the rest of the world. What this means is that the way you are running smart licensing will relate a little bit more to manual work, but the benefit is that you keep complete control on what smart licensing is doing, and you can run your network completely cut off from the outside world. This sounds like heaven for you security guys, right? The amount of additional manual work involved is actually very small. So once you understand how the manual offline process works, you will see that this is easily doable. So basically, you get the additional offline mode security almost for free. In this episode, I will demo how this can be done. And before I start the demo, I must warn you that it might look like a quite long process, but the demo takes only so long because I will explain every single step. Once you have done it yourself, you will be much quicker and it will only take a couple of minutes to perform the manual operation. Oh, by the way, what I will show you now will work for any type of licenses on the ASR 9000 used with smart licensing. So it does not matter if you have traditional business as usual licenses, consumption model based licenses, or flexible consumption model-based licenses, FCM licenses. It works for all. When using the on-premise licensing satellite, all connectivity between the on-prem satellite sitting in the customer network and Cisco.com is usually done by an encrypted IP connection. But what we will do here is not using this connection, but instead doing the whole process of syncing licenses by manually handling some files. Those files are ASCII files, so you can explore them and do not need to feel afraid from hidden info being transferred. So instead of having IP connectivity, we are basically using these files to transfer information between the network and Cisco.com in a very transparent way. Now, if a customer really is ultra security driven, they can even print out those ASCII files in the NOC building where he has no internet and no email at all. Then he can cross the street with the paper and go to his office building where he has internet access, and then there he will scan the paper doing OCR and he will get the file back, and then he can upload the ASCII file to Cisco.com. This way we can do smart licensing in a really fully air-gapped way. So there's really no need to have any IP connectivity between the customer network and the internet. The only thing needed is some sheets of physical paper with ASCII text on it. Now, from a security point of view, customers are fine with that, I would say. But then usually in the discussion, the other objection is coming, which is that this manual process is cumbersome, complicated and takes a lot of time. No, this is not true at all. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes and you only need to do this 4 times a year, if you want. So this should be doable, 5 minutes every 3 months. And I will show now how easy it is. What you can see here are the different options we have for connectivity between the router and Cisco.com. Option 1 is the direct cloud access. It basically means that the router will have direct IP connectivity to Cisco.com. This is obviously the easiest way to do it, but most customers will not accept that to have direct IP connectivity for good reasons. This is usually used, let's say, for the lab where you want to have it quick and dirty. Option 2 is basically the same as option 1, but you have an HTTP proxy in between. But the interesting thing is then option 3 and option 4. What you can see in option 3 and option 4 is that the routers from the customer network do not longer talk to Cisco.com. They will only talk to the smart licensing satellite or the on-prem satellite server, which the customer is installing in his network. Then all routers will request licenses from this box. From time to time, the on-prem server will open a connection to Cisco.com and do a license synchronization. Now, the difference between option 3 and option 4 here is that with option 3, this is all done automatically. So we will basically have IP connectivity between the smart licensing satellite and Cisco.com. Important to know here is that you only need IP connectivity originated from inside your network to Cisco.com. So there is no need to have a hole from outside into your network. What this means is that only the smart satellite will initiate the necessary connection to Cisco.com, but not on the other way around. So on Cisco.com, we will just wait until the satellite comes to us and initiates the session, and then we will sync. Option 4, as you can see, is basically the same, but with one big difference. Instead of using an IP session between the smart satellite and Cisco.com, a manual file transfer is used. This is what I will demo in a minute. So, what this means is that instead of using a direct IP connection, it will upload a file from the satellite, store it on my PC desktop, and then I will upload it to Cisco.com. And I will generate an answer file on Cisco.com, download it again to my desktop, and then upload it to the smart licensing satellite. As I already mentioned, instead of downloading and uploading the files to the same computer, which means that the computer needs to be able to access the smart satellite and the internet, you could also download the file on one computer, print it out to paper, then go to the other building to another computer and then scan the file there and upload it from there. This way the computer which has access to the satellite does not need any internet connectivity at all. This would definitely be a bit more complicated to perform, but it would be the super high secure way. Obviously, instead of printing the file and OCR it, you could also store the file on a memory stick, if that is okay from your security point of view. So, let us start the demo. The first thing I do is to go on the Cisco.com software portal. I will now log into to check the smart licenses. So, go to inventory on the Cisco.com portal. As you can see, I have a virtual account which is called ASR 9K SAT1. That is the one I would like to use for this demo. As you can see on the licenses, I have some lawful intercept licenses available there, actually 10 of them. These licenses are now ready on Cisco.com to be used. But obviously the customer network right now doesn't know at all about this. So if I go to product instances, I can basically see which routers are consuming those licenses and which routers are registered with this virtual account. And again, obviously right now this is empty. So now let's go to the on-prem account on this tab. Here I will be able to see all the satellites which are registered, and as you can see here right now I don't see the satellite I'm using in this demo because the satellite has not been registered yet. Now let's go to the Smart Software Manager on the on-prem server. This is the satellite in the customer network. This is a box which for this demo we will assume that it does not have any IP connectivity to the internet. The first thing I will do here for my demo is that I will create an account, a new virtual account. This virtual account right now is local on the smart licensing satellite only. So I go to new account. I give an account name. This is local only. Let us call it 99 Roger test. And then what I need to define is the smart account name on Cisco.com and also the virtual account name where the customer has all the licenses he has already bought from Cisco. Once this is done, I have basically configured the new account. But as you can see here now on the screen, the new account is not yet there. And the reason for this is because it is not yet registered at Cisco.com. So I will now go to account requests here in order to see that my newly created account, or better the account I would just like to create, is in a pending state. Then I go to actions. And here I can then register the account with Cisco.com, and for this demo we are using manual registration as we don't have IP connectivity. So I would just click on manual registration here. Now I get a window which basically gives me a link where I can download a file. So let's download this file to the desktop or the download folder. And here it is. It's a YML file. So it is an ASCII file and the customer can open it up and look into it if he wants. So he can always see what kind of information we are transferring. Here you can see the file, but obviously as a lot of licenses will be sent, there's a lot of crypto stuff in there to make sure everything is correct, and for that reason you will also see a lot of crypto keys which are not really nicely readable obviously, but still you can see them. We will now go to the Cisco.com webpage where we have been before and then start the registration of the satellite. So here we are back on the Cisco.com page where we have all the on-prem accounts. I will now click on New On-Prem. This opens a window where I can give the name of my satellite server. Once I have done that, I will choose the virtual account. So this is ASR 9K Set1, which you have seen before, and then I will upload the file which I just generated and saved on the desktop. So let's close the file and then, oh, I see. I did choose the virtual account, but I forget to add it. So let's click on Add Now. Once I'm done with this, I can now click on Generate Authorization File. So the file is now uploaded to Cisco.com and an authorization file is generated. This is basically the answering file for the request I just did. So again, I will download it to my desktop and save it there. Here's the file. Again, I can look into it and now it's much bigger, but still it's a human readable ASCII file. Okay, now I go back to my satellite. I still have this window open where I downloaded the file before, and now I can click on Browse and upload the answering file to the satellite server. So let's do it. The server is now telling me that the account was created successfully and now the request I had before basically disappeared because this request has been fulfilled now. And if I go back to accounts, I can see that my account, which I just generated, is now there. And you can also see that the account state for 99 Roger test is now set to active. So this means that the virtual account and the satellite is now registered with Cisco.com without any direct IP connectivity. I just downloaded and uploaded 2 files. That's it. So let's go to the virtual account itself on the satellite and let's check what we can see there. The first thing I have to do is to choose the virtual account 99 Roger test. And if I go to the inventory, you can see that now the virtual account is there. And you can also create tokens now, which you can use to register routers with this virtual account. If I click to licenses, I can see all the licenses which are available on this virtual account. So you remember that at the beginning I showed that on Cisco.com in the virtual account we can see 10 lawful intercept licenses. And now, because I registered the smart satellite, I have the licenses available here. So this means that the registration worked. We are now done with the registration, so it shows you that this manual registration is actually a very quick thing. It might be that it took some minutes now, but if you think about this, most of the time we basically need it because I was just talking about what I'm doing. So if I don't have to talk, it would be even much quicker. Well, the only thing we still have to do all 3 months is to perform a synchronization. Why do we need a synchronization? Basically, there are 2 reasons. The first reason is that it might be that the customer is buying new licenses. If he's buying a license, the license will go into his virtual account, but obviously only into the virtual account on Cisco.com, because Cisco.com cannot make a connection to his satellite and put the licenses there, because for security reasons we cannot open a connection from Cisco.com towards the on-prem server. And anyway, we don't have IP connectivity. So this is good. This means that the customer has to sync the satellite, so the satellite can learn about the newly bought licenses and can actually use them. The second reason why we need to do the synchronization is that if the customer is using features which are consuming licenses, we will not see this on Cisco.com. So what happens during the synchronization is basically 2 things. First is that all the new licenses available at Cisco.com will be downloaded to the satellite. And second, a report of what licenses the customer is using will be uploaded to Cisco.com. So let's do this in the demo. I will show you that this is also as simple as registering the satellite. I am back here on my satellite account on Cisco.com to see the satellite 99 Roger, and if I go to Actions, that's where you will think we can start the sync. If I click on File Sync, and what you see now is a bit of a surprise, because I cannot start the file sync from here. But if you think about it, that's obvious, because as I just explained before, that every connection can only be initiated from the satellite side and never from Cisco.com into the customer network. So this means that I will go to start the sync from the satellite side. So let's go to the satellite and then click on the synchronization button. This opens the synchronization window, and what you can see here is my virtual account 99 Roger test. And if I go to Actions now, I can say Manual Synchronization and then start the standard synchronization. I will do that, and now exactly the same as before happens. I can download the file, I save it on the desktop, yeah, here it is. And then I will go back to Cisco.com to on-prem accounts and I will upload it here. So I click on the file, generate response file. He's telling me that it could take some time, but I see it's already there, it was quick. So I can just click on download sync file now. Then I can download the answering file. I will save it on the desktop. So here it is. Then I can upload it again on the satellite. And again, keep in mind that if I don't want to upload it, I could again print it out or put an USB stick and walk to another computer for security reasons. So I always have the possibility to have this air gap in between. I don't need to download and upload from the same PC. So I'm back here. I will now say browse, then I click on the file which I have just downloaded. The file will now be uploaded to the satellite. The satellite will then learn all the new stuff, and once I have done this, it will tell me that the synchronization has been completed successfully. So this is basically the work the customer has to do every 3 months. As you can see, it's just a very simple thing to do. Well, this concludes my demo. Again, to recap, the most important thing is that for the customers there's no reason he had to be afraid of security issues. He can use the satellite on its on-prem server and he can do everything without IP connectivity if he really wants to go that path. He can synchronize by downloading and uploading files. This is the first way to do this. This basically means he needs a PC from where he can access his internal network and his Cisco.com internet. If he doesn't have that or doesn't want to do that, he can do it with 2 PCs, one with access to the internal network and one with access to the internet. And for example, use a memory stick to transfer the file from first PC to the other one. Or if this is also not allowed, as I mentioned, he could even print out the files and scan and OCR them on the other PC. That's probably the most secure way to do this. I hope that with these explanations you now understand that smart licensing can be done in a very secure way, fulfilling even the highest security requirements by using it in the air-gapped mode. This should smash any security concerns you might have with ASR 9K smart licensing. Thank you for your time and stay tuned for the next episode on the ASR 9000 channel. Thank you.